Very good. Move on to the second speaker we've got for this morning, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce Len Kolff, the Chief Executive Officer for Atlantic Lithium. And a little bit about Len. Len has more than 25 years industry experience in the design, implementation and execution of exploration, resource evaluation and project studies and appraisals within the major and junior resources sector, with a particular focus on Africa. Mr. Kolff was most recently worked in West Africa and was instrumental in the discovery and evaluation of the company's Iwaya lithium project in Ghana, as well as the Mauve Creek iron ore project in Liberia. Previously, he worked at Rio Tinto for 16 years, including on the Simandou project in Guinea. Mr. Kolff holds a Masters of Economic Geology from Coates University of Tasmania and a Bachelor of Science Honours degree from the Royal School of Mines, Imperial College London. And I understand he's been in this role for about 5 months as CEO, is that correct? So, beg your pardon? That's right, yeah. And also is on the board of Atlantic Lithium. So please join me in welcoming Len. Thanks very much.
I have to take my jacket off for this opportunity. Sorry. I actually live in Queensland and it's a bit warmer there than it is here in Perth. So, okay. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming along here to listen to our story. So I'm here to tell you about Atlantic Lithium and the Iwaya lithium discovery we've made in Ghana and the progress we've made. Just our disclaimer here. So Atlantic at a glance. So we've grown our resource since we first worked in Ghana to 30 million tonnes, or 30.1 million tonnes at 1.26% lithium oxide. It's the first lithium pegmatite discovery in Ghana. It's a hard rock spodumene pegmatite discovery and one of the few that are in West Africa currently. We've got a very strong team in place on the ground. And you'll have the opportunity to meet some of our team members here today, including Abdul Razak, our Principal Geo, and our executive team here in the front. So please come along and ask questions. We've got a strong cash position through our Piedmont agreement. So through Piedmont, we're funded through the stages of study and a large portion of our CapEx to $70 million. And that's allowed us to move aggressively on the ground. It hasn't been an easy story. We've been active in Ghana now since 2015. And a small fact that not many of you will know is that the actual lithium project was first brought to my attention through work that a Ghanaian female geologist did in the 1970s whilst undertaking her master's at the University of Leicester in the UK. So that's quite a special feat in its own right. However, she described the spodumene occurrences of Cape Coast, and this is what alerted me to this opportunity in Ghana. And through a lot of further research and further exploration on the ground, we finally found the project, and we've now since then drilled in excess of 100,000 meters, have advanced significantly on our environmental and social studies, and have done a lot of work to get us through to where we are now, including a scoping study and soon to be released pre-feasibility study. So just a quick corporate snapshot. So we're well funded. Our major shareholders who've continued to stay with us since the company IPO'd in 2014, originally as an iron ore explorer in Gabon. Assor International Holdings, they've stayed with us throughout. Piedmont Lithium are new to the register through their funding agreement. DGR Global, who some of you may know through the Orbis Gold story, and more recently SolGold, are one of the founding direct companies behind Atlantic Lithium, and board of management. You may have known Vincent Mascolo, our previous CEO, who sadly passed away earlier this year. He built this company to what it is today, and all of us here in the team are seeing out his legacy to push this project towards production and get it into production as Ghana's first lithium mine. So I won't go into all the details here, but we've got strong representation on the board with African experience in particular. So myself and Amanda recently joined the board since the passing of Vincent. We have representatives from Azure International, including Kieran and Christelle, all with a lot of experience with African mining projects and building plants. Importantly, on the ground, our management team, our exploration manager, Ewan, who's currently holding the fort in Ghana whilst we're drilling, and Abdul Razak, who's here with us as our principal geologist. So he's been on this project since inception. So quick one on Piedmont. So through this agreement with Piedmont, we're essentially funded through a large portion of our projects, through all of the studies, and should they proceed, they'll fund us through to the CapEx up to $70 million, which should see us getting close to that production stage. Once they complete all of those funding steps, they'll have a right to 50% of the offtake from the operating mine, and we retain 50% of the spodumene concentrate production, which we haven't committed to in any way yet. So we are looking at a dual listing currently. So we are listed in AIM at the moment, and that goes back to the original IPO and the iron ore story we had previously. But so we're now looking at a dual listing here on the Australian Stock Exchange. That's well underway. We believe we're undervalued on AIM, and there's a much stronger understanding of lithium and especially hard rock lithium stories here on the ASX. So we believe there'll be a strong re-rate coming back onto the ASX rather, and hence why we're pushing that dual listing. So why lithium? Well, we've spoken a bit about it earlier, but lithium, the outlook is strong as the world moves to decarbonize and move into the green metal revolution. Lithium is an integral ingredient in that. So we think it's the right place to be. It's had a bit of a bumpy road, but the outlook is very strong currently. And when you look at spodumene pricing over the last year in particular, you can see that has increased rampantly. From our previous study, which we did in December last year, we used a $900 per tonne SE6 pricing to current spot prices in excess of $6,000 per tonne. So you can see that has increased significantly, and it's largely driven by the demand in electric vehicles. So our vision is to build a sustainable lithium supply with a positive social impact to support the global transition to a carbon neutral future. And we hope to do that, and I'll take you through the story, through the unique aspects of the Awuya discovery, from its geology, its mineralogy, through to its location from an infrastructure point of view. And we believe with those unique characteristics, we'll be able to meet our vision. So the Awuya pegmatite discovery, as I mentioned earlier, the resource currently sits at 30.1 million tonnes at 1.26. A large portion of that, just over 20 million tonnes, is in the indicated category, the remaining being in inferred. We've got a significant exploration drilling program currently underway in Ghana. So we're drilling 37,000 meters. That's nearing completion. And that's focused on converting the remaining inferred mineralization to indicated, as well as converting the first 1 to 2 years of planned production from indicated to measured. As well as that, roughly a third of the drilling program is dedicated to exploration or resource growth. So it's drilling outside of the current resource footprint to further grow that resource. We released a very robust scoping study on AIM in December 2021, and that was based on our previous resource of 21.3 million tonnes at 1.31% and at a very conservative $900 per tonne SE6 pricing. So where are these projects? So we've secured 560 square kilometres of licenses, applications and granted licenses in Ghana. The Awuya discovery is roughly 100 kilometers down the Takoradi Highway from Accra, the capital Accra, and 110 kilometers to the operating deep-sea port of Takoradi. And that's very important, so very easy logistics. The port of Takoradi is a minerals export port. It currently exports manganese and bauxite, and hopefully soon to be lithium. Very good infrastructure there. The national highway to the port of Takoradi, bitumen road all the way through. So an exceptional location, and certainly when we compare to our peers. This is what the mineralization looks like. So on the left in outcrop, you can see very coarse-grained spodumene pegmatites. The green long minerals there, those are the spodumene crystals. They can be up to your arm's length. And this is very important when it comes down to the processing and to produce a spodumene concentrate. On the right, you can see in drill core. In the middle, a couple of cross sections, pink being the pegmatite. It comes to surface at its widest, the pegmatite's 100 meters wide, so it's a low strip ratio in those first few years of mining. And then it necks out in a wine glass shape to a subvertical dike at depth. Mineralization is open at depth, and we're still drilling that now. Metallurgy is critical for any lithium pegmatite project. The simpler your mineralogy, the easier your metallurgical test work and process flow sheet is. And what that means is the easier you can extract the lithium bearing mineral out of that pegmatite, the easier you can produce a spodumene concentrate, which is then used by the converters. Currently, it's only in China where there's conversion capacity. They've recently built a converter here in Australia, but it's still going through the commissioning phases at a significant time overrun and budget overruns. They're not easy things to build. In our case, the mineralogy, all of our lithium credits are hosted in spodumene. There's several minerals which can host lithium, upwards of 7 different minerals, each with their unique characteristics in ability to beneficiate the mountain pegmatite. So in our case, everything's in spodumene, and it's very coarse-grained spodumene. And that means we can easily produce an SC6 product, spodumene concentrate at 6% product, through a simple crush and gravity-only process flow sheet. We don't need to go to flotation. Flotation means much higher capex and much higher opex, because you're having to grind all of that pegmatite into a fine powder to beneficiate the lithium credits. So those unique characteristics have enabled us to demonstrate through the metallurgical test work we did in support of the pre-feasibility study and the scoping study, which was in excess of 2 tons of drill core, that we can simply and at a low cost produce a spodumene concentrate. We've also successfully demonstrated that that spodumene concentrate can be converted to lithium carbonate and hydroxide, which we did through ANSTO laboratory here in Sydney. Now, the other aspect of any mining operation, obviously, is logistics. And this project is really up there when we compare it to our peers globally. The Awuya discovery is within 1 kilometre of the national highway, the Takoradi N1 highway. It's within 110 kilometres of the operating deep-sea port of Takoradi. And we have adjacent grid power, which is fed by the Akosombo Dam in Ghana. So that's hydropower. So all of those things combined mean that the project inherently has got a low carbon footprint due to the virtue of its proximity to operational infrastructure. We haven't stopped with our resource. We believe there's significant upside within our portfolio. And as I said earlier, we're drilling currently. So we're drilling 37,000 meters currently to increase the confidence in the resource, as well as grow that resource outside of the current footprint. All of the drilling that we've done to date is within a 13 square kilometer area, roughly, of the 560 square kilometer portfolio. So we believe within the immediate Awuya mine corridor area, as we call it, there'll be a significant potential to grow that resource further, notwithstanding within the broader portfolio. So the previous slide was in that white outlined area, and here we're looking at the whole portfolio along the Cape Coast there. We have a very structured exploration process where we fly detailed radiometrics, heliborne radiometrics at 50-meter line spacing and 25-meter terrain clearance. We then also grid fill at 100 by 100 meters soil sampling, and we analyze those in-house. So we've got an in-house laboratory in Mankasim, which is where our head office is, where we've trained our Ghanaian team to analyze all those samples through portable XRF, and we have a handheld lithium analyzer, LIBS, which is the only one currently operating in Ghana. And through that process, we're efficiently and at a low cost able to build large geochemical data sets. So those, in combination with our geophysics, we use to define exploration targets, which has worked very successfully for us and continues to define new targets to then follow up with drilling. ESG, now this is critical anywhere you operate in the world, let alone in Africa, and it's something that's very important for me. Having operated in Africa since I graduated from uni in the mid-90s, building a team that is empowered and that is African or from the communities in particular where you work, and especially in the country where you work, is critical. It's the most fundamental step to undertake right from the earliest stage of exploration, and something that we've adhered to religiously. So I'm so proud to say that my team in Ghana, we only employ one expat. The rest of our team is Ghanaian. And of that Ghanaian team, over 80% of them all come from the community where the actual project is located. So all of these guys go back home at the end of their day's work, back to their families, back to their parents' house, all within Mankasim, Cape Coast, Salt Pond area. So we are really empowering the communities locally where we work, and that's fundamental to how we operate, and it's so important with anywhere you operate. So we have a very strong community relationship, and we're very deeply ingrained within our community through employment, training of our staff, and value adding through supporting local events and other initiatives. So that for me is the most important aspect of our ESG initiatives, and something that I'll continue to push very hard. Obviously, the technical aspects of our project are also very important to this story, in that they because of the unique, simple mineralogy, because of the proximity to operational infrastructure, it means the project has a very low carbon footprint. So these core aspects all tick those ESG boxes, and it's something that we'll continue to push on very diligently. So what are the next steps for us? So our next big value add is going to be our pre-feasibility study, which is due out this quarter, so imminently. We've been working on that very hard over this year, and notwithstanding that the drilling that's underway currently, which will feed into a resource upgrade towards the end of this year, all going well. The pre-feasibility study will be a step up from the scoping study we announced in December last year, in that it's going to be based on a larger resource. So it's roughly 10 million tons larger than the resource used for the scoping study. So from 21 million tons at the scoping to 30 million tons at the pre-feasibility study. It will be based on improved processing. So we've demonstrated in the recent metallurgical test work we announced for our PFS that we're able to produce a spodumene concentrate through a coarser 10 millimeter crush, as opposed to the 6.3 millimeter crush assumed for the scoping study. And those core fundamentals, notwithstanding pricing, we've seen huge pricing increases in spodumene and lithium market generally, which is driven by supply and demand. The scoping study utilized a conservative $900 per ton long-term outlook, and currently you're seeing spodumene pricing way in excess of that, with spot prices in excess of $6,000 per ton. So those three aspects, larger resource, simplified processing, improved spodumene pricing, they're the big levers on our economic studies and our finance studies. So we should expect to see a pre-feasibility study that's vastly improved from the scoping study in December last year. So that's been our growth story from announcing our maiden resource in January 2020 through the drilling campaigns, studies and work that the team have done diligently on the ground, the environmental and social baseline studies that we're doing in conjunction with NEMAS, our ES&H consultant in Ghana, and with ESS, who's our support crew on the environmental and social work in-house. We're now embarking on the important journey of the social aspects. You know, this project is located close to the coast, close to Accra. It's an area that's been populated for a very long time, and obviously there are a lot of people there, so we need to manage that process accordingly and manage those expectations accordingly. So we've got a very systematic work program in place now with NEMAS and ESS, and that will kick off, or has been going for the last year. We have had a year of continuous monitoring, groundwater, surface air, all of those key aspects that mining projects can have to work alongside with. So now that work will continue on the social aspects. And essentially, when we come towards the end of the graph here, we're targeting our PFS this quarter, which is due very soon. We're targeting our ASX listing this year, all going well this quarter. We're working towards a resource upgrade, which we're targeting for the end of this year. We've nearly completed our 37,000 meter drilling program now. And really, we're at the behest of labs and turnaround times, which is very challenging in this current market, given the high lithium prices especially. And that resource upgrade will feed into a DFS, which we're targeting for next year, and pending permitting and approvals for our mining license and EPA, we'll be targeting production in 2024. Thank you.